And the winner is AZO, about to drop like a rock in the next 72 hours, guys. So in this video, we're going to take a look. We're going to actually build the case why we think AZO is about to tank. So here's the daily chart of AZO. Let's take a look here real quick and see what we got going on. Let's start with the divergences, right? The divergence is such that AZO was trading at this level. You see where it moved from low 800s all the way closer to the 900 level, like 880, right? Look on this huge volume bar right here. Now the stock moves substantially higher, hits like a level 925, 930. Look where the volume is. And as the stock was moving higher, what was happening to the volume? So I drew this line right here. As you can see, the volume, these gray bars, which would be the positive volume, they continue to decline. So we have decline in volume while this thing is doing what? Well, it looks like until the last two red days, it was going to the moon. Okay, so don't be deceived by this little trick, guys. Try to focus on what the volume is doing while the stock is going to be moving higher. Oftentimes, it could be one good little piece of the puzzle that you can bring to the table into making your case whether you make a decision to short something or not. But let's take a look at some other reasons here, okay? Look at these stop formations, right? The way they're formed. If you look through any history on the chart of AZO, which you will notice, it has a very high probability of reversing and making a drop after it creates these bearish reversal candles. And so we just got 1, 2, and look, there we are. We actually sent out an alert earlier this morning. What was it? $904. You know, basically saying, hey, it's about to make a big move. So it hasn't done a substantial move yet, but it did drop since we entered the position about 15 bucks lower. No big deal, right? The big drop is still in the making here, guys. Look at this MACD. It's forming a bearish crossover. So we got bearish reversal candles, bearish crossover on the MACD. I love this setup because it's nice. The accumulation distribution is still way up there, which means a lot of sellers could come in. And the cool part is this. It does not take a lot of sellers for AZO stock to drop. Why? Well, because it doesn't trade on very high volume, guys. But today, it did. So look, I put this little snapshot here from my screen. It's 362,000 was the volume today. Now, typical volume for AZO, like every day, is maybe 50,000 to 150,000 shares. So when we see it tanking 22 bucks today on a volume of 362,000, that actually tells us that's a good indication that the stock will continue falling lower. And what I say is this is an awesome setup is because the accumulation is at pretty much still its highest level on this chart. It tells me that if you more institutional investors decide to sell their position, if the volume gets to like 500,000-600,000 shares tomorrow, you can easily see a $50-$60 drop intraday tomorrow. Now, here's another interesting fact that I noticed, and that's the rate of change on the RSI. It's been accelerating. Typically, you don't see this huge of a drop in RSI within just a couple of days. We literally went from what, like almost 80, now we're at 55. Wow, that's a huge percentage drop just within days. Notice we didn't do this over the course of 2 weeks, of 3 weeks. I mean, this has literally just happened over the course of the last few days. So this is really cool, okay? We got all these bearish reversal candles, and it has a very strong history, right? Every time we get one, look, we sell off. Every time we get one, we sell off. Look at this one. We get one, we sell off. We're getting this one, we're selling off. But I think we're not just going to stop here. I think exactly what's going to happen is we're going to see a continuation of this. And you're probably going to be able to visualize this better on the weekly chart. So let's take a look at AZO weekly chart, guys. Here's what we got. We got another divergence right here. Look, the stock was at 800 bucks, 770, 800. Where was the RSI? It was way up there, right? So now we're coming to this 900 level, and the RSI is nowhere close to where it was. So price goes higher, RSI goes lower. That is a bear in the making. Okay. Also, important to observe, I believe, is the stock, with the exception of a couple of minor pullbacks on this chart, has really maintained a really, really solid uptrend all the way from 600 to 925 bucks. Now, the question to ask is this. Yeah, this is actually a very bullish looking chart, but don't you think some people that were buying it at 600 are going to be happy with their 50% gains? I mean, 325 bucks, that's, you know, that's 50% gain on this $600, right? I mean, some institutional investors, that's huge return to them. So if they were getting in at 600, 650, 700, I think what we're observing, this is why the RSI, the rate of change on the RSI is accelerating, because they are concerned with this earnings report and they are starting to liquidate, they're starting to sell their shares before the earnings. That's what we have witnessed today. Now, on this chart, I showed you you're going to be able to visualize better why we actually think that this move of just a couple of days lower so far is not going to stop right here. The important observation is, look, so here's your top information right here, and clearly recovered the candles, but look what happens next, right? It falls 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 10 days in a row. Look at this top information. Then it drops 1, 2, 3, 4, like almost 2 weeks in a row. So 10 days in a row lower, 14 days in a row lower. Okay, let's say we don't get 10 or 14 days lower. Let's say we just get half of that, 6 or 7 days. Guys, that gives us plenty of room for this thing to revisit these levels right here. Maybe 775, 800. 800 looks like a pretty solid support, but I think it actually dip below that briefly to like a 790 level. So here's what we're seeing also with the rest of the sector. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Guys, check this out. Isn't this awesome? Look at this. Same kind of top, different stock, but almost an identical chart. Same divergence on the RSI. Can you guys see that? When it was 340, RSI was shooting all the way here in the green. Now it's lower, but we almost just got to close to 400 bucks here. So this looks like an identical top that we were just observing in AZO. So what that tells me, it's not just the AZO that they're selling, that institutions actually are selling this sector. And to make the case even stronger, let's take a look at advanced auto parts. Whoa, how does this look? This looks pretty similar to me, right? So the same type of candle formation, lower, same type of the RSI divergence. Guys, the whole group is at its top. So what I am trying to say, it's not just the AZO that will go lower. It's also all of these two other stocks. We're talking about O'Reilly heading lower. Seeing a clear top there. Advanced auto parts heading lower. So you probably just want to know, well, give me the simple answer. How low? Here's your quick summary. In the next 72 hours, AZO will trade down to 850. So we shorted it today at 904. So that would be our first target level at 850 to take some profits there. And then within 1 week, we can think it can easily hit 790, 800. You got to be careful with this tricky AZO stock, because generally when it falls, it has a history of making some fierce comebacks. Like it could fall 50 bucks and you could be looking at it and it'd be like, oh geez, look at this thing, it just keeps dropping, and you may be tempted to buy more or add to the position. It has this vicious breakouts higher intraday to where it could be down 50 bucks and then you go get a coffee and you come back and the stock now is only down maybe minus 30. So in other words, it can rally 20 bucks intraday at any given moment. So be careful when you're entering this AZO options pricing, because you know, if you miscalculated, then the stock could run up against you 20 bucks easily. And then guess what? The next day it falls again 30, 40, 50 bucks. But by that time, unfortunately, some of the traders could be out of the position. So just know that this thing does not like to fall in straight line, as much as the charts actually point to that. So be very careful. Try to make sure you get in at the top, not at the bottom, not when it can clearly looks to you that, oh man, this thing is going to hell. Okay, so try to catch it at the top. Okay, so there it is, guys. Now you have it. We've looked at the charts. We're going to find out if in the next 72 hours, AZO is going to drop like a rock. Thanks for watching. Hey, I'm going to try to do a couple more of these guys this week. So stay tuned. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do subscribe. Got some pretty cool videos going to be coming out in the next few weeks. For now, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and make it an awesome trading week.